I remember shopping with my mom, and we'd go into a store, and she knew where I'd be. I'd be in the clothing department.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was just something about it. Sure. So, and I was able to go on a buying trip to New York City. I'll never forget. And we stayed at the Waldorf, and it was like so cool. We were sitting there, and they just coming and showing us all the clothes, and it was just like the coolest thing.
Yeah.
When I got pregnant with my son, I wasn't married. I was with his dad for 8 years prior. Mm-hmm. And this happened, and it wasn't expected. So there was one place for me to go. That was Planned Parenthood back then. Mm-hmm. And the only option I got was to abort him, and that he was a blob of tissue.
Right.
That's what I did end up having him. And when you think, what could that child have been? And my son is a doctor now. Prayed about how I could be used after I moved down here and got married and had a little extra time. So I started volunteering at a center. And what I knew was that I didn't want any woman to have to not know the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
And within 3 days, he said, you come up with a program.
Yeah.
So we came up with a program in 3 days to go into all the schools and teach a healthy choice program, which now we call sexual risk avoidance. I remember being at one of our fundraising events with one of our banquets, and this guy came up and he showed me his phone. And he said there's a little boy standing on top of I think the hood of his car with a superhero outfit on. And he pointed to him and he said, thanks to you, he's here. I would have never known the love and this amazing child if you had never been here for my daughter. But the funny ones are, I think, when you see us pulling furniture out on the sidewalk at nighttime.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
that's, I don't have a guy in the back. It's me.
Right.
So it's me and my friend Kathleen, who I love. If you're not willing to work hard, don't open a business.
Yeah.
And so I got to learn a little bit more about our city and to get to know it more. And I love Dade City.
Welcome to The Art of Business. I'm your host, Eric Baker. I sit down with entrepreneurs right here in Dade City and the surrounding areas to find out about their backgrounds, how they built their businesses, and what their secrets for success are. Today, I'm joined with Miss Stephanie Troutman Knight. She is the founder and owner of Rustic Elegance Vintage Design and Decor. Rustic Elegance redesigns, refinishes, and reimagines quality vintage furniture pieces. They offer home decor, unique women's clothing, gift items, and they also offer staging services. They are located at 37842 Meridian Avenue in Dade City, Florida. You can also find them at rusticelegancevintage.com. Stephanie is a founder and former executive director of a nonprofit organization called A New Generation. She is the founder and owner of Rustic Elegance Vintage Design and Decor. She's a mother. She's a cancer survivor. She's a health coach. She's a talented artist and painter. She's an entrepreneur. She has her shop in downtown Dade City, and she's a member of both the Dade City Chamber of Commerce and the Merchants Association. She has an absolutely amazing and powerful story to tell, and I feel immensely honored to have been in her presence, having the opportunity to pick her brain about so many different subjects of her life. She's a multi-talented person and has a truly inspirational story for us all. I'm excited to be able to tell her story. But before we just jump into it, Stephanie tells us about miniature horses.
I thought that was the coolest thing, that you could use them for therapy horses.
Yeah.
So we brought them into a few nursing homes, and they loved it.
Right on.
They loved it. And the horses were so good. And there's just something about an animal and what it does for people, and it just calms them down. And you'd hear them start talking about stories of when they were little or young and they had horses and they're just petting them. And I loved it. Okay. And then COVID happened, so
Right.
They're lawn ornaments.
Yeah, gotcha. So, and you also used to breed, show, and train as well. And you mentioned the Tennessee walking horses.
Correct.
What was it about the Tennessee walking horses that you like so much?
Oh, I love them. I love them. I went to, I was ready to we had property so I could finally get a horse again because I grew up with horses. And then we didn't have them for years and years. So I was at a friend's house and we were having a Christmas party. And anyway, we rode some of their horses. And I got on a walking horse and I was like, what is this? I didn't bounce up and down.
Yeah.
I just was gliding.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is so awesome. So
Yeah.
I was on the hunt.
Right on. And
I started with one and it's like a potato chip.
And were those the horses that you would breed, show, and train, the Tennessee Walkers, or were there
Yes,
any?
we just started showing them, and then we started breeding a few of them to show.
Yeah.
And I actually trained out at a barn, and I would train some of them at home, but we did have trainers for our built-up horses. So.
Did you ever win any of the shows or anything that you were in? Did you really? Right on. First.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
One of the best shows I ever did was. I was in there with a trainer, one of the top trainers around, and we ended up going, me and him. It's like, I'm like, oh, shit, man. But he worked us out in that ring, and we won.
Right on.
And
awesome.
I was like, I couldn't even believe it. He was a beautiful horse, and
Yeah.
I miss it so much.
Yeah.
I miss it so much. When we went out to the Walking Horse Celebration a couple years ago, and I just look at them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah. So you don't do it
They're
anymore
great
down here.
horses. I want to so bad, but I don't know when I would.
Yes, ma'am.
Not right
Sure.
now.
Yeah.
Hopefully someday again.
Right. Okay, great. Now, let's start to set the foundation here. Let's build the bigger picture, and I want to talk about your background for a little bit. If I understand correctly, you're from upstate New York.
Correct.
Okay. So tell us what it was like growing up in upstate New York. I mean, what were you like as a kid? Are you an only child? What were your parents like? When did you move to Florida? I mean, give us the history of Miss Stephanie Troutman Knight.
Well, for anyone who really cares, I grew up in upstate New York. We were right above the Pennsylvania border, Binghamton area. Actually, I grew up in Vestal, New York. And we were about 2.5, 3 hours from the city. So we were in Brooklyn a lot, visiting my aunt. And but even going there, I knew I could never live there. So I loved living where we lived. It wasn't like too country, but we had, some land, and, it's actually the carousel capital of the world.
Okay.
For the horse merry-go-rounds.
Yeah. Huh.
And
Interesting.
there's a lot of history up there. So it was a great time growing up, and we had, again, like I said, we had horses when I was little, and then my parents did get divorced, so we went for quite a long time, and I craved every ride that I was able to get in the meantime. And let's see, so grew up. My mom raised us. She did a great job. She loved us. She gave everything for us. We had a big Italian family, so we were always visiting our relatives. She came from a family of 14.
Wow.
And so I had a lot of cousins. At one point, my grandma counted them off, and we were like at 35 or something. So I have a big Italian family up there.
Okay.
So it was great, getting together on the weekends always, and birthday parties. The family part of it was wonderful.
Yeah.
And I remember shopping with my mom, and we'd go into a store, and she knew where I'd be. I'd be in the clothing department.
Yeah.
And there was just something about it. So always loved fashion.
Right on.
And went to college for a period of time, and then I was able to get a job before finishing in what I wanted to do. And I was taking business marketing. I enjoyed that part of it.
Yes, ma'am.
But still enjoyed the fashion. So I got into retail management at 19.
Okay.
And was in the clothing store environment and did that for a while. And then I ended up going from a corporate to a mom and pop he had a few stores, but then I moved over to a different type of store where I had more control over certain things.
Sure.
And I was able to go on a buying trip to New York City. I'll never forget. And we stayed at the Waldorf, and it was like so cool. We were sitting there, and they just coming and showing us all the clothes, and it was just like the coolest thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And but so in between that time, I did get pregnant with my son, and ended up I couldn't take the cold weather anymore.
Sure.
And I loved the beach. So I ended up moving down to Florida. His dad had already moved down to Florida, and I ended up moving down to Florida.
Gotcha.
And managed 2 stores in Hyde Park.
Okay.
And that's how I came down. And then I ended up getting into sales.
Gotcha.
In telecommunications.
Okay.
And met my husband on a cold call.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I followed up on the cold call. And then he asked me to dinner. I'm like, oh, I don't know you, so I'll go to lunch maybe. But so, yeah. And I was not with my son's father at that point.
Yes, ma'am.
But so, yeah, we started our first date, and we saw each other every day. And the rest is history on that one. But
yes, ma'am.
He's a good guy.
I love it. I love it. Okay, now, if I understand correctly, you are quite the talented artist. You draw and you paint. Both of those are extremely difficult things to do, at least to do well anyway, I guess. So are they something, are you the type of person who could just pick up the instrument and play? Or are those the types of skills that you had to sort of develop over time?
I did play quite a few instruments, but nowadays I need some help.
What'd you play? What'd you used to play?
Piano. I played the bass guitar, and then the tall bass, and the drums. And it's like once you start to play an instrument like that, you can pretty much pick up most of them.
Band or anyway, would you?
No.
Okay.
Well, like the orchestra in junior high, I think, for a short period of time. But no, the music, my music of choice didn't include an orchestra.
Okay.
It did include a band, but not the kind,
Okay.
So anyway, but I used to, I don't know why the heck I was sitting in my closet.
I heard this story, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
You
did another interview with somebody else with I can show you later.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I used to sit in my closet and draw.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Now the cool thing is my aunt does the ancestry type thing.
Yeah.
And she found that there was a famous artist, I do not know the name, in Italy.
Okay.
That we have in our lineage.
No way.
So there's a lot of people in my family that are talented artists.
Yeah.
Yes, one of my uncles was an author and an illustrator, and a couple of my aunts. So it's in the blood.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it very much. I remember we had what we called religious ed when we were in junior high, and the nun was up. I was in public school, but we went to this, and the nun was up there, and I would just sit there and I just would draw her. But you better not get caught. If you get banged on the knuckles with the yardstick.
Yeah.
But she wasn't a happy lady. I remember that picture. Anyway, I always enjoyed that, but I got away from it for a while. Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Were you always just good at it, or did you have to practice to really get good at drawing and painting?
I mean, I don't know how good I am. I enjoyed it, but I just practiced. I didn't have any tutelage as far as it was concerned.
Sure.
It just sort of came to me, and I liked to draw like people, faces, different things like that. And then later in life, when I was started, in the horse showing, because I was part of the board of our local horse show association. And I made all of the horseshoe wreaths that they win at the end of our big show.
Yeah.
So our house was covered in flowers. I made all of those. And then in the pregnancy center part of it, as we move on, we'll talk about, I used to make the centerpieces, and then I decorated all of our offices for a new generation. And I just really always enjoyed that.
Right on.
I don't know, just like it. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Well, so this will lead in perfectly to our next topic here. So as I mentioned in your bio, you are a former executive director and founder of a nonprofit organization called A New Generation. I pulled this directly from their website. A New Generation has been helping women with their pregnancy decisions since 1999. Their services are free of charge and completely confidential. Their mission is to provide evidence-based education in a compassionate and respectful environment. Now, can you expand on that a little bit and tell us exactly what A New Generation is all about?
A New Generation started primarily, well, to go back to the beginning. I've actually been involved in this type of work for almost 30 years. When I got pregnant with my son, I wasn't married. I was with his dad for 8 years prior, and this happened, and it wasn't expected. So there was one place for me to go. That was Planned Parenthood back then. And the only option I got was to abort him, and that he was a blob of tissue. Right. That's what I was told. That was it. See you later.
Right.
So here I am. It's like the one thing that a woman, a girl, when she gets herself in that position and she's not planning it, she wants to be what we call unpregnant.
Okay.
I just don't want to be pregnant.
Yes,
I didn't
ma'am.
plan this. This is not what I had envisioned for my life. So I kept it to myself for 3 months before I even told my mom, because all these things are going through my mind. And I knew I couldn't make that decision, even though I had some pressure to do so. And I did end up having him. And when you think, what could that child have been? And my son is a doctor now.
Wow.
And it's just like, was it easy? No. But I don't regret 1 second of that decision.
Absolutely.
And what a blessing he is in my life. And what's so cool is that he married his wife, his current wife. She had an unplanned pregnancy as well. So little Ava was the same age that Ryan was when I married my husband, Scott.
Nice. Yeah.
It's just so cool to think about that. But the thing is, when I went to try to get some help, that was all I was told. I did not get any information. I didn't get any options. And I certainly didn't get any evidence-based medical information. So having gone into, I just prayed about how I could be used after I moved down here and got married and had a little extra time. So I started volunteering at a center. And what I knew was that I didn't want any woman to have to not know the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
And to have all of the options laid before her, the medical facts. And then, we hope they make a good decision to go through with that pregnancy with the help all along. But regardless of what they choose, they have been presented with everything up, at that time, so they can make an informed decision.
Sure. Yep.
And which was the same reason we also started our program in the schools. But on another note, for another reason, if you want to go into that, we can briefly. But anyway, so that's why that started. That idea started.
Gotcha.
In my head, and then the center. I was volunteering down in Tampa, moved up to Brooksville.
Okay.
And started, people like, what do you do? What do you do? And I said, well, I volunteer at a pregnancy center down in Tampa, and we need something like that up here. So I prayed, had to make sure that it was the right thing, and the doors flew open, and we opened what was called a Women's Resource Center back in 1999, and we changed our name about 4 or 5 years into it because we were also seeing men. So there's quite a variety of services that we offer at the center that deal with all of the related issues that come in that pregnancy decision.
Sure. Okay.
Or, before, after, during,
yes, ma'am.
And all of that.
Sure.
And so we address all of that. And I can tell you what, that is one of the most life-changing, life-saving organizations that I know of.
What's and I'm sure you probably have hundreds, but is there one story that really sticks out in your mind from your time there, from someone that you've helped or something that has happened that you'd like to share?
Well, on the school program, there's just like two brief ones. On the school program, we started in 1999, and we started in the first few months. We were a satellite of a woman's place where I started, and then we just found it just like was a different type community, so we just formed our own entity.
Sure.
In Brooksville at that time, and a few months into it, because at that point I was doing everything. Yeah. Cleaning the toilets, balancing the checkbook, counseling everybody that came through the doors. I had some counselors that I trained, and it's just, it was a lot. And, but I did get to counsel, and I always loved doing that.
Yeah. Okay.
And so this girl came in, and she was talking about how she was with her boyfriend, and I don't know if this is G-rated or not.
Go for it. You're fine. You're fine.
Well, she was in there for a pregnancy test, so you know what led up to that.
Right.
Well, after they had sex, then she said that her boyfriend told her that he had HPV, and
my God.
she would probably get it. And if you know anything about STIs, STDs, that is one that's very contagious, human papillomavirus, and it takes on different strains. But STDs, people have no idea how prevalent they are. Well, anyway, she had gone and found out she had it. And she was just devastated. Not only did she have this STD, now she's in for a pregnancy test, which thank God came out negative. But she's telling me this story, and I was just trying to comfort her and to help her. And I just remember from then on, I didn't want anyone to walk into my doors and say I never knew.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you decide to do. We can't stop you from doing that. But at least when you come in, you're not going to say, I never knew.
Yeah.
So I went to see the person I needed to see in the schools. And within 3 days, he said, you come up with a program.
Yeah.
So we came up with a program in 3 days to go into all the schools and teach a healthy choice program, which now we call sexual risk avoidance, which involved letting these kids know that, hey, we're a pregnancy center. We don't want you to have to walk through our doors. And this is how you won't have to walk through our doors. Yeah. Here's some skills. Here's some information that you need so you can make better decisions when it comes to sex, which, of course, is, something that we all think about. So, and we had teachers calling us, and we never had to ask. They called us, and they wanted us, and they wanted us. And the kids, we did a pre and a post test. The kids loved the program. They're like, please come back. Yeah. We made it fun and interactive. Yeah. We touched on drugs. We touched on all these different things. We had a group of teen advisors, which committed to no drugs, no sex, no alcohol, and no something else.
Yeah.
What? I forgot. Anyway. And we had kids signing up left and right for that program. So it was a teen-led program we put together for them, and it was just amazing. So it was because of that story that part of the program started.
Sure.
And then I remember being at one of our fundraising events with one of our banquets, and this guy came up and he showed me his phone. And he said there's a little boy standing on top of I think the hood of his car with a superhero outfit on. And he pointed to him and he said, thanks to you, he's here. I would have never known the love and this amazing child if you had never been here for my daughter.
Sure.
And I just thought, that's just one story of many.
Yeah.
And, just people thanking us because there's a life that's there now that wouldn't have been because the girl was too scared to know what to do.
Right.
And just didn't, jump to the first thing that she thought was the easy fix.
That's amazing.
Because I've seen women, I've done this for enough that I've seen a lot. And although I know this isn't any kind of, whatever you want to call it, I think it's a life situation. But women who have made that decision, we are very compassionate for those women. And a lot of them, post-abortion syndrome is a real disorder, and it mirrors PTSD in so many instances. Sure. And so we also have a healing program for that as well. So I've seen the devastation of women who were never told the truth, and we're doing everything we can to make sure that they know that.
That's amazing.
So it's an amazing organization. I'm so just blessed to still be a part of it. I've never left.
Yeah.
Although I'm not there physically.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. And I'm not just saying that because I started it or anything.
Yes,
I mean, it's also the glory of God that we're there.
Yes, ma'am. And so the school program you came up with in 3 days. How'd you do that?
God.
Like
I had one of my volunteers at that point had done a Young Life program up in another state. So we just put our heads together. I had some videos, some things at the center already that talked about that, and we just sort of melded it all together, and we just tweaked it as we went along, and we came up with. We knew there were certain aspects that had to be involved in it to keep the kids' attention and to constantly get their interaction. We gave candy when they answered questions. That helped right there.
Yeah.
But we got their attention. We valued what they said, and I mean, because we let them know. We care. We didn't get any money from this. I'm running a nonprofit. We have no money. We start this program. We didn't have any money to start this program. We're all volunteers. So we could stand up there and say, we're doing this because we care about you guys.
Right.
And there's so many of those kids that are sitting in that audience and no one's ever told them they care.
Yeah.
And if you see what our tagline is to this day, it's be seen, be heard, be valued.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people, so many young people who just, they don't have that. So they still love it to this day. We do have grant money now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
awesome.
yeah, and we have paid staff. I mean, we've grown
a
lot since then. We've had 3 locations in the past, and we've daughtered other centers around the country. And so
that is amazing.
It's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I understand that you're also a health coach. I believe I read somewhere that you had got involved in that after a cancer experience of your own, and you wanted to help others who were going through the same. So what all is involved with being a health coach?
Well, and even not just people who are going through that, but more importantly, to never get them to have to go through that.
Understood.
So I got my certification as a personal trainer and also as a health coach. It's building blocks. Okay. And you said what's involved in becoming a health coach?
Yes, ma'am. Or like, what all do you do, and what?
Well, I did it because I started just telling people what I was learning after going through my cancer, my chemo, all of that, and getting healthier.
Yeah.
And I mean, just my chemo doctor going, I can't believe you don't have any of the side effects. Like, what are you doing? And besides, I say God again, but I was becoming healthier, which I thought I was healthier before. But yeah, now I had no clue. Your version of healthy doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy.
Right.
That's just your version.
Yeah.
So I was trying to help people, and then I decided, well, I'm going to take this further. So it was a big step for me to step away from my position as executive director and decide to become a health coach. So through a lot of prayer, I decided to do that. Looked at different organizations, got those 2 certifications.
Yeah.
I wasn't just saying I was a health coach. I wanted to make sure I was a certified health coach.
Yeah.
So I got my certification, and that was just a lot of studying, and it was online, and then they want you to start working with some people, and then you take your tests and you do all that. But I learned a lot from that. So I was going to start my own business as a health coach and do some things online. And I had done so much of my studying and all of that at home, and I really enjoyed being with people, and I missed that. So when I also saw some of the limitations of being a health coach, which were I could give certain advice, but I couldn't say you need to eat this, this, and this, because I wasn't a registered dietitian in the state of Florida.
Okay.
Or a nutritionist.
Makes sense.
So there's certain things in certain states that keep you from being able to say and do certain things. And of course, I wanted to do it right.
Sure.
So I decided to go in with a doctor. So I went in with Dr. Martinez at Health and Wellness of Central Florida, who did a lot with nutrition. And so I became the health coach there.
Gotcha.
So he would work with the people. He could do the blood work. He could do all of that. We'd get all that stuff going. And then I could come through and I could build upon that. And give them some of the resources and things they needed to do to get healthier and to help keep them on track.
Sure.
And so I did that for a while. but I was giving away a lot of information for free.
Yeah.
And so then I did start to do some of the marketing out in the community, and I would do talks, and we'd set up at booths and stuff like that, and I'd set up my Snapple and my Coke and my Pop-Tarts and the things you normally eat all day, and then I'd take my scoops of sugar and I put it in front of each one to show that you think you're being healthy. Well, this is how much sugar is in your healthy snack.
Yeah.
Just to let people know, because it's just, I learned so much, and there's so many things in our diets nowadays that, I mean, we're imploding from the inside out. We don't need someone to come and bomb us because we're taking care of it ourselves. I mean, seriously, we're so sick and tired nowadays, and people don't realize the big conglomerate food companies, they actually will take certain ingredients that are in the food, and they have their test subjects eat it, and then they'll do an MRI and they'll see what lights up the brain the most, so that they make sure that that's in there, and you keep eating it and you're addicted to it. Yep. I mean, you consider how many people are addicted to sugar. When I've seen some of my friends, I just had one of the girls I work with, and she took out sugar. She's already lost like 20 pounds in a short amount of time. She feels so much better. And it's just, and then another girl, and it's just like, I don't wake up and I don't have this fog. I don't need coffee. And I love to see that, because I worked those hours. I was up till 2 midnight because I had my kids. I had the pregnancy center. I was doing classes with people. I was doing Bible studies. I was doing so much, and I was getting little sleep. And then I had one of the guys came in that worked with me at the center, and we were living on pots of coffee. And it's like, okay, I can do this because I'm young. I can do this. But then, caught up with me.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's funny that when you talk about sugar, I've relatively fit myself. And so when I try to help people out a little bit, just give them some advice on ways that they can without even really working out a whole lot. If you can just take your sugar intake to 0 grams or as close as you can for a week or two, you'll be surprised how much weight will just fall off without even doing anything in terms of working out.
Right.
It's pretty amazing. So,
and people need to realize it is a process.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and just because you take sugar out, it doesn't mean you can't have something sweet. You can have other alternatives, healthy ones like stevia, monk fruit,
correct.
Honey in moderation.
Yeah, there
are other things that don't raise your glycemic index. So, but you got to realize, that wheat, flour, dairy, all those things, they have sugar in them as well. So
absolutely.
You have to, there's a lot to learn, but just start with baby steps.
Exactly. Just start in general. Just start. Yeah.
Right. Put your sneakers by the door so you know that you do eventually need to go work out. Yep. Maybe you'll get your feet in them and get out there one of those days. But it's just getting to that point.
Okay. So I understand that you started out by painting and refinishing furniture, and you were a vendor at a store. I'm assuming a store probably similar to your own.
Yes.
And it's a process that I understand you enjoyed very much. So I'm curious, what was it about being a vendor that you enjoyed so much? Was it just purely the profits and the money, or was it about bringing something back to life and putting your own artistic touches on pieces that somebody else is going to then go and really enjoy, or was it something else entirely?
I love the artistic aspect of it.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to get rich doing this, think again. You better love it. Okay. I have a little sign at the store that says, "This is my get rich slow scheme."
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed the artistic part of it. And the fact is, the furniture that's made nowadays, I mean, I still didn't finish decorating my house, but it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good quality. I mean, I had a lady come in and say that she had a couch and she had it under warranty, and they came and fixed it and pulled the armrest off, and there's cardboard underneath there. Mm-hmm. And so I love the good old vintage type furniture that's solid and made great.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always look that great.
Not the IKEA stuff.
Well, no. But if you like that, then you go for it, because IKEA will love you, because you'll be back to get more when that breaks. Right. But anyway, no, I loved the transformation to take a piece. I mean, just like even a piece with detail on it that's brown, that's older, and then you paint it, and then you put some glaze or some wax, something on it, and you draw that detail out, and it starts to pop. And now this is something that you've modernized. So it's sustainable, it's eco-friendly, it's all of that. You're saving stuff out of the landfills. You're giving someone an awesome piece of quality furniture that they're going to love, and it's unique. You're not going to find it at any other store. So I started doing that, and I just enjoy. Well, I like to shop, so this was a way for me to keep shopping because I could shop and buy the furniture, fix it up, sell it, and go shop again. So so that was fun too. But then I also know that I enjoyed being at the shop with the people. I like that. I couldn't just work at home. I enjoy going to meetings. Like when I was in Hernando County, I was very involved with the chamber and different, not communities, but anyway, committees on the chamber. And we started a Christian Business Fellowship out there. And so I'm one of the gifts I have is, I think, a vision. So I cannot be satisfied with the same old. So I knew once I started there in the store, I knew I wanted to have my own store.
Gotcha.
It was time to start another business again. And I think I come by that naturally. My dad was a serial entrepreneur and had many successful businesses.
What kind of businesses did he have?
He, oh my gosh, he had an appliance repair business like when he was a teenager. He owned a salon. He was, and this was like hunting guide, bearded, real man. Beauty salon.
That's what the market demanded, apparently.
And then he had a coffee business, and then he started a hunting guide business in Alaska.
Wow.
He had a very successful restaurant that people had to drive to, but it was like one of the top restaurants. He was like, you could go, you'll see his picture flying his plane when he was doing the hunting guide part of it in a museum up there. He had princes come that were his clients before. He moved to Arizona. They had they had a motel, then they had another one. Then he had a waterscape pond business, paving business. They bought a resort in Belize, which is for sale by the way. If you want an eco resort down in the jungles of Belize, it's beautiful. Just let me know and I will let him know. But he's got a little business going now, and he's 83, and they still have the resort, and so it's just, I mean, I get it. It's I had a job one time in between all of this, and I was just working in an office, and I can't help myself from having ideas to do more. And that's one thing I always said with the pregnancy centers: we will never remain stagnant. We will always be growing. So I just think that's just part of business. I can't not try to grow. So I pray for wisdom in that area all the time. But did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely you did. Okay, so now this portion of the show is sponsored by Reliable Resellers. Reliable Resellers are based out of Tampa, Florida, one of the largest and fastest growing cities in the country. With their well-established eBay store and local auction house connections, they provide a hassle-free and profitable way to downsize your life. If you're in need of downsizing services, call the pros at Reliable Resellers. 813-421-5676 or visit them online at reliableresellers.net. All right, so now in 2015, you left A New Generation as their executive director, but you still serve on the board. Yes. And you were working with a doctor in Hernando County, attending meetings, and I'm assuming just doing all the things a board member is responsible for. And then in 2020, the craziness happens, and there are no more meetings for you to attend. So in June of 2020, you registered your business right in the heart of all the craziness, the lockdowns, uncertainty. We really had no idea what was going on right then. Mm-hmm. And you decided to go for it.
Right.
That's awesome. And in December of 2020, on the 5th to be exact, you opened your store there in downtown Dade City. Now, you kind of touched on this, but what made you decide at that time that it was time to no longer be a vendor in someone else's store, and I'm going to do my own thing now?
It didn't take me long after I was just a vendor to know that I wanted my own store.
Yeah.
So it was just a process of thinking of different ways that this could be done.
Yeah.
And we ended up in that time, we had built a house in Dade City. Mm-hmm. So we downsized from Brooksville. We rented in Wesley Chapel in the meantime. Mm-hmm. And then we moved, and our house was done in Dade City.
Gotcha.
I had never really spent much time in Dade City. So I mean, years ago, my friend was, she was working out in Dade City, and she was thinking about moving. She was my best friend, living right behind me. I'm like, why would you want to move to Dade City?
Yeah.
I'd never been there before. I didn't know. I just
right.
didn't think there was a lot going on there.
Sure.
And so we moved here because I love the mountains now. I'm over the beach. I love the mountains now. And this was as close as I could get to the mountains.
Yep.
So we built on a hill, and we have a view, and I pretend.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I got to learn a little bit more about our city and to get to know it more. And I love Dade City. It's an awesome place to be. I just love it. And so just looking in Dade City and the opportunity, I looked at a couple of different places, and then this place opened up, and I was like, I jumped on it before she was moving out, and I was jumping in.
So you found this, or were you working with a realtor, or were you just
No,
driving
I was
around?
driving around, and I saw a sign. I saw a few signs, called on a bunch of things, and called this, and they're called. Well, I called, but someone may have let me know. I'm wondering if it was Lucy that maybe let me know. Lucy's Avala's involved in everything in Dade City. I just love her.
Okay.
But so went in, and it was perfect. It was tropical wine shop, so it was all tropical colors inside, and we knew we had some work to do. So it worked out, signed the lease, and within 3 weeks, we transformed that place from tropical to Rustic Elegance.
Yeah. Right
so
on.
it was a morning till night thing. My friend Lisa at Rust to Roses was an integral part of helping me get this all ready and working with me in the store when I first opened. But we hit the ground running. And I'll tell you what, yes, COVID was happening. People were, we had to wear masks. We did all that, but they wanted to get out.
Yes.
And time after time, I would hear people they just walk in there like, I just love this place, and they wanted so much to get out.
Yeah.
And so we were a place for them to come.
Sure.
Where they could feel okay walking around and just look.
Yeah. I
mean, there's so many people, they just came in just to look. Even if they didn't buy anything, which a lot of people did, thankfully, I thank the Lord. But they just loved to be able to walk in the store and just that peaceful environment, and so it was awesome.
Yeah. So I'm curious. In the beginning, did you have enough? So we're talking about advertising a little bit. When you first started, did you sort of build up enough of a reputation from being a vendor at other stores that your customers kind of followed you, or
No.
did you run paid ads, or so when you first opened there in downtown Dade, how did people find out about you?
I know how to run a business on a budget. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
From running the nonprofit and a new generation, I started with nothing, and so I know how to do that. We put the money in we did all of the renovations, everything we did ourselves. And
oh wow, really?
Yeah, I didn't take out a loan for that. I know how to bootstrap, and so I can figure things out, and I can make it look really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, just even our walls, it looks like one of our walls, it's a plaster wall. No, me and my friend, we took it, and I'm like, let me take this tissue paper, put some paint on it. What does that look like? Oh, let me take a paper bag. Oh, hey, we've got a lot of paper towels.
Yeah.
Let's put this on and put some paint over it. So it's a paper towel wall with paint over it. It looks like plaster.
Right on.
I found the old barn tin from an old barn in Dade City. My husband hung it on the walls, and it's just like, so I didn't have I didn't have money to advertise. And I didn't have a big following because it wasn't Rustic Elegance. I was in another store.
Sure.
So thankfully we're in a great spot in Dade City. So you get a lot of people that come, they meet there. It's a central location. They want to walk around. It had been known for the shops. A lot of them had closed. So they were looking for new stores to shop in. So we were there. So I just started on Facebook, and I didn't have to do that too much in the past because back when I started the center, we didn't have all of that. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have all that. We did, as we grew, we did television, radio, we did the movie theaters, we did everything you can think of, but you can't do it once. You got to do it over and over again. And then it came to where we were able to hire people, and I had a staff. I didn't have to do it. So now I'm trying to figure all this stuff out.
Yeah.
So I'm taking some pictures. My friend Lisa's taking pictures. We're posting them. And no, I have still yet to do any paid advertising.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't done any paid advertising yet. Now I want to get there.
Sure.
But, I'm not in debt.
Yeah.
And so I want to keep it that way.
Sure.
But I know that you have to advertise. So I have done advertising locally if people, the garden club, the Monarch Board of, if there's places like that, I can advertise locally as well as helping someone out in the community. So I've done that, but I do a lot of Facebook and Instagram.
Gotcha.
And we do reels. I binge podcasts.
Yeah. I'm
always learning and trying to grow. I mean, and it changes all the time. Just when you think you got it down, then they change the algorithm, and it's like, So I'm doing these reels, which I don't really like seeing myself on video, but it's like, I don't get my ring light out, set it up, and then let's do a reel. I'm like, we just do it.
Sure.
We don't even plan it. I said, wait a minute, let me get my camera, or I'll just take the camera and I'll just pull it up when the girls are doing something and we just shoot something, and I don't edit it and I put it up. It's like, they're silly and but the funny ones are, I think, when you see us pulling furniture out on the sidewalk at nighttime.
Yeah.
That that's, I don't have a guy in the back. It's me.
Right.
So it's me and my friend Kathleen, who I love. Doing it all. So
when did you hire your first employee? I watched some videos of yours when you were first starting, and maybe that might ring some bells. There was a video I'll show you anyway. Okay. And one of the goals of yours, your immediate goals, was to hire help. So I'm curious, when did you go about finally hiring your first employee for Rustic Elegance?
It was my friend Lisa was helping me, and so I had some of her stuff in the store. So we just help each other. So I didn't pay her. And then some of the girls would come in here and there and help. And then my friend Gay started volunteering because she just wanted to be there. So she started volunteering. She was one of our volunteers at the pregnancy center.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you found her then?
Yeah, she found me. She wanted to come in, and I love her. I mean, I have the best girls. I can't even say. I love them, her and Louise. So it was probably in the fall that I started, that I actually started with independent contractors, and then we went to employees.
Gotcha. Okay, right on. So, and I've been thinking this through in my head about the three different phases, I think, of so the redesigning, the reimagining, and the refinishing of what you do. And for me, I think the reimagining sounds like the fun part, and the redesigning and refinishing sounds like the parts that involve the actual work, like the sanding and the painting and things. It seems like the reimagining is the part where you're coming up with just the idea of what a piece could be, and then you start redesigning and refinishing it. So I'm wondering if you could kind of talk about the creative process of what all is involved with reimagining, redesigning, and refinishing a piece.
Okay, well, it starts with, I need something. So I start looking. And I have Kathleen. Kathleen Wrights is my CSO, my chief sourcing officer. So since I can't leave the store, I need someone to help me get things.
Sure.
So she searches and she finds good pieces. She's always like sending me pictures, or if I don't answer her, she's calling me. We're FaceTiming. So I look for a good piece because we want to, well, she used to call them ducktails, but they're actually called dovetail furniture, if you know what that is.
No idea.
Well, if you look at a newer piece, a lot of the drawers, it's like the face is put on the wood. It's just a face on the wood.
Okay.
If you look back at an older piece, the wood is actually joined to the face. They interlock like this.
Okay.
So it's called dovetail.
Gotcha.
But they interlock. It's the quality and the craftsmanship of that old piece. So it needs to have good bones.
Okay.
So we find a piece that has the good bones, and hopefully it's not too far gone, because I'm not a furniture refinisher where I take an antique and I make it look like it used to. I'm making it look different.
Yeah.
Or I'm taking a good old primitive or antique piece and I am cleaning it up and leaving it as is, because it needs to not have paint on it. Because there's some people that cringe with, like, you're going to paint that? Like, no, certain things I won't paint, but other things, yes, I am, because it's been sitting there and it's brown and it's going white. Or it's going whatever color. So I get the piece, and then I'll or have an idea of something I want to put on a piece. I still haven't done this yet, but there's I saw it one time, and it's a collage of old Hollywood.
Okay.
And you put transfer decoupage. You put it on the front, so it's on the front of this like mid-century modern looking piece, and it's old Hollywood, and then you got your black and your white and your gold on the piece.
Yeah.
It's just so super cool.
Yeah.
And I haven't done that one yet, because I had to find the perfect piece for that.
Gotcha.
But I personally like a lot of detail in the ornate, which is why, because we were building our house, and I was going from more of the Victorian type ornate furniture to rustic, and my friend's like, stop looking at that stuff. I'm like, I can't. So I came up with the Rustic Elegance name, because I wanted the rustic, because I love the cabin kite type thing, but man, I'm putting some pearls on my antler chandelier.
Yeah.
Because I like it both. You know, I like it together. I thought I made up the word, but then I found out I didn't when I went to register my name.
Right.
And I couldn't just do Rustic Elegance.
Yeah.
So anyway, when I can find some with some detail, I especially love that, because then I can paint it, and then I can bring out that detail and just make it look beautiful, and then just put some highlights. I change out the hardware, and it just looks like a totally different piece.
Sure.
And then what I love is that I bring joy to people's home and to their hearts by them finding a piece of furniture that they're like, they fall in love with it.
Yeah.
And then they bring it into their house, and they're like, I love that piece of furniture. Every time, I just had someone say this the other day. Every time I walk past that furniture, I just love it so much, that piece or whatever. And that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
And plus the fact that they're getting a good deal.
Sure.
Because I know that you can decorate on a budget, so I don't mark my prices where you can't afford it.
Yeah.
I have good prices. I have my customers say, you need to raise your prices. And I probably
do.
I have had so many people say that, because if I was in South Tampa, I'd charge double or triple what I'm charging. But I'm not. So
right.
If I can buy it at a good price, I will sell it at a good price.
Sure. So are there any parts of those processes that you enjoy more than others?
I hate cleaning the piece. Do not like sanding. Yeah, first
How do you
coat,
really feel?
Yeah, first coat or two, I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Is there not a paint that I could do one coat?
Yeah.
I have searched high and low. There's not.
Yeah.
So once I get my final coat on and I can start embellishing that piece, that's my favorite. I
Gotcha.
love the detail, and I got a little problem with perfectionist.
Yeah, right
thing,
on.
So it takes me longer.
Sure.
And so when I do a custom piece, the customer does not have any idea how much time I really put into it.
So how much time generally on average does it take does it depend on the piece?
It totally depends on the piece
Okay.
and the prep that needs to go into it.
Gotcha.
Beforehand. And I mean,
you talking a couple hours or a couple days, weeks to do a piece? Maybe just in general, just a basic piece.
The only thing I can do in a couple hours would be a piece of home decor.
Okay. Gotcha.
Candlesticks or something like that.
Okay.
You just a couple hours. You have to wait for the paint to dry.
Sure. Yes. Right? Okay. I didn't think about that. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And it's usually more than one coat. Now, granted, I just had these candlesticks and I just did a little paint distress on them because they had a good base to them.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't take me that long. But if I have to start from scratch, then it's going to take me.
And do you do all of this in the store, in your shop? Do you where do you do it?
It's not done in my workshop because I don't have one. So it's done in my house, in my garage. But typically, I pull a piece out after I close and I start painting.
Gotcha. Because
I don't have a lot of room. I had a place in the back that I thought was going to be my workspace, but that never works because I just keep putting stuff in it.
Yeah. Okay, so I like to ask everyone about funding because I think it's important for the people listening to be able to learn about the different ways in which businesses had to go through getting themselves off the ground in the early stages. So, and you sort of touched on it, but did you seek out investors? Did you just take out loans? Did you swipe a bunch of credit cards? Did you go to family and friends? I mean, how, in the early stages, how did you go about it?
Honestly, every endeavor I thoroughly pray about. I thoroughly have to know it's of God.
Yes, ma'am.
So once I know that, I know the pieces are going to fall into place.
Yeah.
And so once I knew that was the path I was going to go on, I had talked to my husband. My husband was behind me. I mean, we're blessed in the fact that he does very well in the business that he's in. And so we had a little bit, but I did use credit cards to begin with, but it paid all of that off.
Awesome.
I didn't seek out investors, but I had a couple of my friends that said they wanted to invest. I only took up one, and I didn't really need it, but I thought, okay, well, I'll put it towards the paint, and then because I had to get my own paint line, and not my own that I created, but one that I would be an authorized dealer for in the store.
Gotcha.
So I take that small amount of money, I put it towards the paint, and what I'm going to do is it's an investment for her, so that I'm going to be paying her back, but I'm going to pay her back with interest.
Sure.
And she doesn't care when I pay her back.
Yeah.
I've already paid her back some, and I'll be glad to when I can get that done. I didn't want to take on investors. This is my business.
Yeah.
And
you want the control, not what somebody else thinks
Right.
you should be doing. It's what
Right.
what you want to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to have a partner.
I get that.
It's
Yeah.
hard to have a partner.
Sure.
It's not something that I needed a lot of investment because I had a storage unit full of, I had a garage, I had an upstairs, I had a barn full of furniture already.
Yeah.
So that I had picked up along the way in doing what I do, which is typical of a lot of us that are in this business, is we've got furniture everywhere. So I had that, and we had, of course, to get into the space, and then, the different things. We did all the work in the space. Mm-hmm. Myself, my husband, and Lisa, we did all the work.
Yeah.
So I didn't hire anybody to revamp the space.
Gotcha.
It's not like I had to put a kitchen in, a commercial. I didn't need any of that in there. And so, we charged some on the credit cards, and I paid that off. My husband made me a little loan, and I paid it off.
Yeah. Awesome.
And so, I've been very blessed.
Right on.
In that. I mean, could I make a lot more money? Yeah. I don't pay myself.
Okay.
No, this is a new business. All of the money goes back into the business. So I pay my employees. I don't pay myself.
Right.
So I'm free labor in there.
Yeah.
It's not free. And I work. All I do is work.
Yeah.
I go home and I work.
Yeah. Sure.
So, So as far as other businesses are concerned, what I would say is go to the SBDC.
Yep.
And SCORE.
Small Business Development Center. Yeah.
Right. And you get all your resources for free as far as that's concerned. Now, there are certain grants some businesses can get that they're eligible for to get started.
Yep.
I didn't want to go that route. I didn't need to go to that route at this point. Yeah. I know what it's like to deal with grants and funding from the pregnancy center. And there's a lot that's involved in that. And it just wasn't, I didn't need to go there at this point.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting into clothing, so I'm going to need a little bit more money, but we'll see how that goes.
I noticed when I was over there, and I met you that day in your store, I noticed that every time someone enters your store, you like to greet them.
Absolutely.
I love that, by the way. What's the thought process just behind that?
Customer service is of utmost importance.
Yeah.
When I go into a store and there's someone playing on their phone and they don't even acknowledge me coming in, I'm like, what the heck are you even doing here?
Yeah.
And so if I'm ever on my phone posting social media, I always say, I'm not texting. I just want to let you know I'm just posting for social media because I look like I'm on my phone.
Yeah.
But I've already greeted them.
Yeah.
So everyone that walks through our store has better be greeted.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they're not greeted, it's because they slipped in and we didn't see them.
Sure.
Although I moved the armoire that was there, so there's less chance of that happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I want everyone to feel special and welcome when they walk into the store. I don't care if you walk in, you walk to the back, you walk out, it wasn't for you. We say thank you for coming into the store. Sure. Because we thank you that you did. You took the time to walk into our store. Whether or not it was for you, that's all right. Yeah. But you looked. We're glad you came. Yeah. And I want our customers to feel special. I've been blessed to get to know some of our regular customers, and I love when they come in, and it's just like, I feel honored that they call me their friend. Yeah. And even though Robert calls me his antique friend, I'm like, Robert, your antique friend? First of all, this is not an antique store. Yeah. It's vintage. Yeah. And second of all, I'm not an antique. But no, I love Robert. But no, I want customer service. It's just like, back to my years down the road and through the pregnancy center, everyone is to be valued and we want them to feel special. Maybe no one asked you how you were doing that day. Maybe no one asked you how you were doing that week. I'm asking you how you're doing. You answer however you want. Yeah. And, if there's people that they've come in and they weren't having a good day, but they knew they could come back there and that I would pray for them or that I could just help encourage them, and that's why I'm there. Yeah, I love that so much. So now I've heard you talk about going on a buying trip. You mentioned it earlier here, and when I met you at your store, I think you had mentioned you had just returned from a buying trip. Was I exhausted when you came in? You were fine. You were fine. I have to imagine that is a lot of fun going on a buying trip. Is it? What's all involved? Are you going to conferences, or are you going to like fashion shows where new clothing lines are being introduced? Like, what is involved in going on a buying trip? Well, I really didn't know a whole lot about it. I tried to watch some videos, and I'll tell you what, there wasn't a lot of them. But I knew from talking to a few people, but I didn't really know what I was to expect. And to just take one step back from that, the reason I went on this buying trip is because I'm always listening to what people are saying. And so we had Lorianne's, they retired, and Limoges, Florida Cracker took over Limoges. So it's got a different vibe inside. Gotcha. But there's a lot of people that miss those boutiques. Now we have Dirty Heifer, and she's got great stuff over there. It's young, contemporary, Western type, so for women, there really wasn't a store anymore for them to shop in. That's why we brought the clothing in. Gotcha. Yeah. So Louise started with that, and we're just, in our element along with the furniture as far as the clothing is concerned. So back when I went on my buying trip, when I was in New York, we pretty much sat at a table, and they came out and they showed us everything. They showed us all the clothing. They modeled some. They showed us the different, pieces. That was my buying trip back then. So I really didn't know exactly. I knew I wasn't going to be sitting at a table. I knew I was going to be walking around. Yeah. Okay, so if anyone knows about America's Mart, we've got 3 buildings with about 14 stories each. While the one apparel mart was open with all of the stories going full force. Building 2 was open. Not everything was open in that. That's your gift and your home decor. I knew I wanted to pop over there, but I had to tackle the other first. Yeah. So first of all, we're in Atlanta, and I'll tell you what, I have not had the driving situation be like it was in Atlanta since I've been in New York City. Wow. They're like, seriously, this is Atlanta. This is the South. What are you driving like you're from up north? So I went with my husband, who I have a sign in my store that says shopping with your husband is like hunting with the game warden. Yeah. He hates to shop. So here I'm going with my husband on a shopping trip with 14 floors of 1,500 plus vendors I have to go through. Yeah. And he wanted to go, and I just love him for that. But he went, and he also had a cold. He was great. He started walking around with me, and my husband does definitely, he has a gift of gab. He can talk, and which is great. So it's like, it's not like you're, you go someplace with him and you have to worry about your husband over in the corner. He's awesome. He knows so many people. But then he started talking to some people, and I'm like, I got to move on to the next place. And so, come on. And so anyway, so he didn't feel that great. So he went back to the condo, and I was on my own. Well, I knew that, and I tried to do as much research as I could. I looked on the app. I knew I wanted to get, I really wanted to find things that had a cause behind them, if I could, as far as the jewelry, accessories, things like that.
Yeah. Even
the clothing. I wanted to get made in the USA, and I wanted, or something other than, made in where everything else is made. Yeah. And I wanted quality. So I went because I had to touch and feel and look. I didn't want to just order online and bring something into the store that was like, we're different. This is a boutique. This is a little upscale. You're not going to find these. I needed unique. I wanted a vintage type look to some of the things I was looking at. Sure. And so I thought I could narrow that down. Well, I couldn't. So I'm just going through floor after floor, and I ask them, where are your clothes made? I don't know. Okay, you're working the booth. You don't even know where your clothes are made. But I guess that's cheap labor. I don't know. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure all of this out, which took forever. And so I found some good quality. I'm bringing some things in that are made in Italy. I had some from Barcelona. I have jewelry line it's coming out of India, but it was made by a couple. They moved to the United States. The husband was going to school here, and the wife was making jewelry to help support them. It started going real well. Well, school ended. They started working. They go back to where they're from in India, and they see that the artisans in the towns, they're being taken advantage of. They don't get paid a fair wage. Their working conditions are awful. So they go back and they open a factory. And now they're employing these people to make her jewelry. Oh, no way. And they're getting a fair wage, and they have good working conditions, and they can support their family. Yeah. I have that jewelry line. Awesome. Another one is a Christian jewelry line, and they're building orphanages in Uganda. And that's what they use to support that. Yeah. I go into this other one, and I get these T-shirts, and she's using it to support missions. She's using it also, which was so cool, that there's a local pregnancy center, and she makes bracelets for the moms that come in that are making good decisions and they want to be involved. They get a bracelet from her in a pregnancy center. That's like what I did. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is perfect. And she's got good quality T-shirts. Right. So, and I can tell you other stories about some of the other things, but it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's quality. Yeah. It's helping to support. It's helping to sustain. It's could I make more money if I buy a shirt for $2 and sell it for $20? Yeah, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I don't care about doing that. Go to Walmart. Right. This is in Walmart. You're going to get something that's a little better quality, a little higher end, and it's just like my vendors that are in the store. I like to support local as much as I can. Yeah. So our cups are made locally, our pillows are made locally, our charcuterie boards, our soaps, our lotions, I get some handcrafted things. I have this one lady that her sister was making these like felt animals and birds and cool, detailed things like this, accessory kind of things that, to decorate your home, home decor. Yeah. So she comes in, she shows this to me, and she goes, I really want my sister to feel like she has a purpose. So I said, those are so cute. I would love to have something like this. So she goes back to her sister. She tells her, so now her sister, who's living in an assisted living facility, has a purpose to make her stuff and earn some money. Because I'm going to carry it in the store. Yeah. So I like to support local and have a cause for things as much as we can. But market was exhausting. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was fun, but it was like I started in the morning. I just said, just drop me off. Really? So he just dropped me off. I didn't even take the nuts out of my purse to eat for lunch. Yeah. I just had to keep going and going because there's so much to see. And because I couldn't find where to go to those people I was looking for, I had to figure it out myself. Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't see it all. Right. Sure. And so I got what I can. I mean, I came home and I don't even know what I got.
Yeah.
And it's like,
yeah.
So, but the boxes are coming in now.
I seen on your Facebook page, you had a couple of new lines of clothing that just came in, and you've already made some sales from those clothes.
We have.
That's awesome. And you also do quote unquote fit videos on your Facebook page.
I haven't started yet.
Okay.
But that's something I'd like to do, where we
Okay.
take the different items of clothing. And granted, I mean, people can't all come in. And you know what? If you can't come in, let me know. Well, let's do FaceTime. I'll show you. I'll show you what we have. We'll do whatever we need to do. But what I want to do with those videos is just like show, this is what it's made out of. This is how it fits. These are a few different things you can do with it. To just give them an idea of what we have and what you can do with that.
Yeah.
There's multiple things you can do with these shawls that I'm getting in. They're called shawls, but they're super cool.
Yeah.
It's just something you could put over you. I posted a video on my stories, which, learning always in the process. Stories only has so long you can post of a video, so don't try to post a minute video on a story. So I posted part of it, but this guy already saw it, and he wants one for his wife for Mother's Day, and it's like, didn't even show the whole thing. But there's so many different ways you can wear this one piece of clothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I had asked people before I went on the buying trip, I said, tell me what you want. I want to buy what you want.
Yep.
And so there's people that said they want, versatility. So something that you could wear during the day, but then you can, dress it up to go out at night. Mm-hmm. And so I tried to get some things like that. I got a pair of these pants, and they have a bit of a flare. They're real comfortable, but then you can snap them together, and they look a little bit more like a jogger. And so there's things that can have versatility to them.
Sure.
Or you go on vacation and you can take just a few pieces of clothing, but you can dress it up differently.
Yeah.
When you're there.
Awesome. Okay. So, and I know the line of clothing and adding the women's clothing is a relatively new thing for you. But do you have any other future plans for Rustic Elegance, or are you kind of happy with where things are and you're kind of going with the flow and just kind of reacting to market demands?
I wish that I could just be happy with the things are and go with the flow. I just have found throughout the years, if you look on the back of the card for a new generation and you see all the services, you'll see why
Gotcha.
I can't be happy with it.
Right
if there's
on.
a need that needs to be met and I can meet it, I want to meet it.
Sure.
So what I'm looking for right now, there's so much I need to do, and finding the time to do it, because part of it too was I'm looking at, okay, I can't get caught up. There's no more hours in the day unless I don't sleep that I can work and try to get caught up with my furniture, because I told you the process. You locate it, you find it, you go pick it up, you unload it, you bring it in, you prep it, you paint it, you finish it, you put it on the floor, and after you put that's not counting the top coat. And there's so much that goes into it. How in the world am I ever going to get caught up with that?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, people want clothes. I can lift a box of clothes a whole lot easier than I can an armoire. And so I thought, this is a way maybe that I can have some clothes hanging on the hangers, and I can still do a little furniture and still have both, because people love the furniture aspect and the home decor aspect of it too. But maybe I can make it a little bit more manageable with the clothes. We'll see, because I do want to get an online store.
Sure.
So that's my next thing.
Okay.
Is how am I gonna put all of this online?
Yeah.
And make this work.
Yep.
I mean, I honestly, and because we opened the store in 3 weeks, and I knew, and my husband and Lisa are like, you got to open on Stroll. You got to open on Stroll. Like, I know I will never get caught up, because this happened with me in the pregnancy center.
Yeah.
Once you start, you're 100 miles an hour. So when are you going to catch up and do all of those things? So you try. And so that's what I'm doing with the store. So now my inventory, we've been doing inventory sort of the old-fashioned way. I've got to get now I have a recurring inventory that I can put on my POS system.
Sure.
As opposed to the one-offs that I'm not going to get another piece like that. So I'm eyeing that, and we're physically taking the inventory of that. So now I want to get that online. I've been researching POS systems, and I can use what I have, but is there something better? And one of my friends, Cheryl, always says that I have analysis paralysis, because I tend to research a lot before I make a decision. So I make sure I make the right decision. I want the best I can get for the money.
Absolutely.
And so just trying to figure out that. So again, my next thing is to get a little bit online, because summer does slow down in town. I don't want my sales to slow down. I want to keep going up. So I'm going to have a little bit of time with that. And I'm also real involved with the Merchants Association. So there's things we're talking about there, and we're always thinking about having events and stuff as far as that goes. So there's always something new in the works.
Sure.
It's just my mind can't stop.
Yeah.
Turning. I take GABA at night, just in case you want your mind to stop turning. GABA. It's a supplement. It's all natural.
Now, Stephanie, do you have any mentors? Anybody that you've leaned on to kind of give you advice for what and how to go about doing the business, or maybe people you've met back from a new generation? Like, are there people that you can pick up the phone and call and say, hey, how do I do this? Like taxes how do I do this stuff?
Well, the good thing about having a nonprofit is you have a board. So you've got your board to, we look at things together and come up with our next solution. So that was great. I had, great people. Mm-hmm. It wasn't always easy.
Sure.
But, I have a few people, but not people that have done this type of thing. So Lisa and I we've gone back and forth. She's doing the same thing. We're paralleling. She's growing her business over there now, which is why she's not as involved with me. Her business took off.
Nice.
So we're always going back and forth and bouncing ideas. I have scoured the podcast world to try to finally found someone who has like a furniture, gift, home decor podcast. Seriously. Nice. I just found them.
Nice.
But I found other business podcasts. I've gotten a lot of my information from the podcast world. I binge daily. When I don't sit except to eat. Yeah. And so I'm multitasking all the time, and I'm always listening when I'm driving, everything, except when I paint. I turn my music up and I listen to that. It keeps me going. Yeah. But so I'm always listening for that. As far as the taxes and getting the corporation set up, I did rely on the SBDC and SCORE. They're a great resource for something like that. I highly recommend that to any new business, potential business owner to look into. Take advantage of it. It's free. They know what they're doing. They'll hook you up with the right mentors. Yep. They'll give you, ideas. I had a lawyer set up my my corporation, or my LLC, I should say, and we have an accountant, our personal accountant. But one thing I did, because when I have to do paperwork, I want to bang my head up against the wall because I'm creative and I hate paperwork. Yeah. I would sit there and do my monthly end paperwork, and I would leave the table, and it was like, if I drank, I would get drunk. But I don't, so I didn't. But I hate it. So it's draining. When it's not your gift, it drains you. And you need to delegate when you can. Well, when you don't have the budget to delegate a lot of things, you got to do some things yourself. But I did get a bookkeeper, and Kathy from Blue Palm Bookkeeping has been a godsend. Okay. Because she's put up with me. Because initially I knew I needed a bookkeeper, so I had paid the money for this bookkeeper. She never got back with me.
Oh my God.
Lost that money. Yeah. Tried someone else again, gave me some advice. It didn't pan out. So here I am. I knew I needed it, tried. So then I went for a few months, and I'm doing it myself, which is a hot mess. And so I get Kathy, and I got receipts, but Kathy took them. Yeah. Kathy took all of my stacks of receipts and got me in order. I'm telling you, anyone who would do that.
Weight off the shoulders.
Oh, right? My gosh. And then she sends me emails. This is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I need. And I get back to her when I can. It might not always be that day. Yeah. Like right now, I have some from last week. But it's just like, I do it when I can. But what a weight taken off my shoulders, where she's got all my stuff now, and tries to help get me systems to make it a little easier for me to get the information to her. You would think I would be able to easily follow it. But it's a struggle. Sure. When you have so many things to do, and especially if it's something that you don't have to do today and you don't like to do, you tend to put off. I would say, try not to do that. Yeah. Or get Kathy.
Right on. Now, your business is based out of Dade City, downtown Dade City to be exact.
Yes.
Now, Dade City has a very small town vibe, which I love, and it sounds like you do as well.
I love it.
I'm curious though, what was it about downtown Dade City that made you open your business down there?
Well, when thinking from a business perspective, could I pay cheaper and go out further? I mean, and I did think, the scenario I thought of is, okay, I'll have a shop in the front, my retail space in the front warehouse in the back. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing in my extra pieces. If someone wants to shop some cheaper stuff before it goes out on the floor, they could shop that. Plus, I have a place to work. And the beauty is the front, the mess is in the back. So I thought about that. Maybe I'll do Wednesday through Saturday, 11 to 3, so I can get some things done because, I'm producing the product. Mm-hmm. I cannot produce the product while I'm working in the store.
Yeah, right.
So but the marketing that you need to do, you got to go heavy on marketing when you do that if you don't have a big following because they've got to find you.
Right.
So if I'm downtown, I'm on a street, people are already walking on that street.
Yeah.
That makes a little bit more sense.
Sure.
So I know I'm going to get some foot traffic. Plus, I want to be involved in my community. So I know when there's a downtown, I'm going to get involved in my downtown. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to help to grow my downtown.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be part of a community, I just can't help to not want to help that grow and help people know how awesome it is.
Yeah.
And so I knew there was like the Merchants Association, there was like some changes and stuff, and through COVID, and it was struggling. So I started going to the meetings and then getting involved there. And so we've grown the meetings over this time. I took 3 hours one day and finally met my neighbors and encouraged them to come to the meetings, and because it was hard to get out of the store. And so downtown, I love to know about downtown, to learn more, to see it grow, to tell people. When people come in, I tell people, this store, this restaurant, I tell them about what we're doing if we're having events, because I love it and they should love it too. And they do.
Yeah.
And they love to just get away and come back to that small town, but yet we're growing. Mm-hmm. So I say, Dade City's on the grow. So. It
is, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so since I've started my businesses, I've had, and you kind of touched on this a little bit too. You're perfect at leading into my next question. So I've had to come up with ways to structure my days such that I'm still getting things done, but holding myself accountable to the stuff that I don't want to do that still has to get done if you want to be successful. Right. So I'm curious, how do you structure your days? How do you hold yourself accountable to make sure those menial tasks that you talked about earlier that you just don't want to do, but you still have to do? How do you structure your days and hold yourself accountable such that you're still pushing forward and still achieving all of your goals?
It's a constant battle. Honestly, it is.
Yeah.
I say, hey, Siri, remind me at whatever time that I need to do this. Mm-hmm. So I'm constantly putting reminders on my phone. When I go to meetings, I'm not texting on my phone. My notes are in my phone. My phone's always with me. Mm-hmm. I need to make that easy. So the reminders on my phone, putting things on my calendar. It depends on the day. So I know on certain days, like if Louise or Gay, if they're in the store, I know I can get a few more extra things done. Mm-hmm. If it's a certain day of the week where I'm thinking I may not be that busy, I know I can work on certain things. Mm-hmm. That doesn't always happen. So you have the best intentions when you come in. So if I can't get it done during the day, then I try to get it done when I go home, because work doesn't end when I go home. Yeah. And I'm so very thankful that my husband got a grill quite a few months ago, and he loved it, and he started cooking dinner.
Nice.
Oh, you don't even know. So I love him for that. He's just enjoying it. I don't have to cook dinner now when I go home, because that's my mornings are, I have to get done what I can get done around the house in the morning, because I'm gone. Mm-hmm. And especially when it's later out, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I'm not back. I come home. He tells me when I have to be home for dinner. When it's going to be done. So I come home, I take care of the animals, we eat dinner, and I work. Mm-hmm. And then I go to bed.
Yeah.
So I need to get the balance back of my workouts.
Yeah.
And, it's my reminder calendar, and if it comes down to where it's a deadline thing, I'll get it done.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, awesome. Now, you're someone who has taken a lot of professional risks in your life by starting multiple businesses. I mean, you're the founder of 2 companies. I mean, and you've assumed levels of risk that, I mean, frankly, one can really only understand by doing something similar, starting their own business and assuming a level of risk like you've assumed. And at the same time, though, you have a very calm demeanor about you. I noticed it when I met you the first time when I came into your shop. You have the look of someone who has been there and done that, and you've got your goals and you're just working towards them. But you're human. I know you have to have thoughts of self-doubt and disbelief like we all do. So I'm wondering, what are your tricks for dealing with that stuff?
Well, I think I'm my worst critic.
Yeah.
And what I speak at myself, whatever, I get very frustrated with myself. I don't like to make mistakes. I don't like, it's, first of all, I'll go back to, the way I start my day is, I've prayed about all of this.
Yeah.
And I've learned from running the pregnancy center, you have to give it to God.
Sure.
I can't take all this responsibility and think that I'm going to make it all work. So that's where I get my peace from. And I start my day on my porch with my Bible. That's how I start my day.
Sure.
So, there's times where you saw, the one last video I did, Welcome to the Jungle, is the music I chose for the way my store looked.
I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, because I get very frustrated when the store does not look like I want it to look. When it looks a bit of a mess. Now people will say they don't notice. Well, I do. And how I deal with, I just work longer. I don't know. I can only get done what I can get done.
Yeah.
That day.
Right.
What are you going to do? It's not worth stressing about it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I have to handle it and take care of it the best that I can. Every day I just pray. Gotcha. Lord, enable me this day to do what you need me to do. Help me to be a blessing to somebody.
Right on. I love it. So now you've been in business now for about 1.5 years there at Rustic Elegance. So I'm curious, what are some things about running a consignment store, furniture store, women's boutique clothing store that you know now that you didn't know when you first started?
If you're not willing to work hard, don't open a business.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine if I had this business when I had my children at home, I couldn't have done it. There's no way I could have done it. No way. Not with the physical aspect of producing what I need to produce in the store to sell.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the question?
Just some of the things you've learned about running a business that you know now that you didn't know in the beginning.
Okay, so I knew, the pregnancy center taught me.
Sure.
I've always been a hard worker. Before I had children, I had 2 jobs. I like to work.
Yeah.
I just like to work. And I know I come by that naturally through my dad and my stepmom. They're just amazing as far as that's concerned. I have a good work ethic, and you have to have a good work ethic. And you need to know that you need to go out to produce quality, whether it's quality product, whether it's quality in your business, and you need to know that you are putting forth excellence as much as you can. So do you care enough to work your fingers to the bone to do this? So what I wish that I knew beforehand was I wish that I could have really had a mentor in my business who had been doing it, where I could actually get a lot of information from. And typically I know that would come from outside the area because you don't want to hit on the competition part of it there, where someone's running a store, they don't want to give up all their secrets, whatever it might be.
Right.
I would say, I'm not a big ask for help kind of person. I'll seek it out myself and try to find it, but ask for help when you need it, because I try to do a lot of things myself. Yeah. Because if I think I can, then I'll do it. And tell me I can't, and I'll show you I can. To try to get some systems in place beforehand. Yeah. But I knew that. There's that open up early. We did. I knew this was going to happen. Yeah. So yeah. I did find more podcasts on down the line, but just to take advantage of a little bit more on the resource side, time block. I'm not good at that, and I need to be better at that. So time blocking would help me. Okay. And I'm one that I'll start talking to somebody, and I don't want to think I don't care. So even though I know I have to do something, I don't just walk away. Yeah. I got a couple of friends that are really good at that, and they can just, and then this like, yeah, and it's good. Okay, well, it's good. Yeah. It's like, and here I am standing there for 5 hours. Yeah. Meanwhile, I didn't get anything done. Yeah. But that's all right.
So if you were, and you probably just maybe touched on this too, but if you were sitting down with a young aspiring entrepreneur and they're looking at you bright-eyed for advice, and they're saying, Stephanie, I'm starting this business, not necessarily a consignment store, but I'm starting a business. What would be a couple of just basic tips and tricks you would give to someone who's just starting out?
Well, I would say, first of all, it needs to be something they love to do. Are you doing this solely to make money because you've seen someone else make money? Or are you doing this because you're passionate about it? If you're not passionate about it, I really can't help you. Because if it's just about making money, how long-lived will that truly be? Right. Especially in the hard times. Yeah. And when you have to explain to someone, why are you doing what you do? It's because I love doing what I do. And I'm going to work through the hard times because I do love doing what I do, instead of just saying, forget it. I'm done. So I would say make sure you love and you're passionate about what you do. Seek out advice from people that you know. I mean, I do have people that I've known through in Hernando County, and I've bounced stuff off of, but I didn't have anyone that was truly in my niche that I could talk to. So if you could try to find somebody that is doing what you're doing, I would say do that. I definitely always recommend the SBDC and SCORE.
And so the SBDC is the Small Business Development Center.
Yes, and we have that here in the Pasco Hernando. They'll sit down, they'll meet with you, the virtual phone calls, whatever you need. SCORE, they all assign you a mentor specific to your needs. And it's free. And the incubators are also a great resource for people as well. Hopefully that person who's the aspiring business owner has the support of their family. I mean, if you're married, your husband or your wife, whatever, your significant other, whatever that might be. At least one person, there's going to be people in your family that say, why are you doing this? You don't need to do this. It's a lot of work kind of thing. Well, I know that, and I'm willing to do that. Yeah. So you'll have your naysayers, but you need to be strong enough in knowing what you want to do. Come up with a plan. Some people say come up with a business plan. I typically like the Rebel Entrepreneur podcast, and the fact that I had a plan in my head. And I will tell you, throughout all the years of the pregnancy center, they said you need a business plan. And I'm not saying that's bad. Right. That's great. Yeah. For a lot of people. Yeah. And something like that, I want to do what God wants me to do, and that's going to be ever changing. You can come up with a business plan, and that's great. Come up with your business plan, but realize that you're going to have to probably tweak it along the way. Oh yeah. As you see your business, I mean, if you got to pivot, whatever you need to do, be flexible in your business, because you might have all of these plans and what you're going to do, but until you're actually in it, you don't know what it's going to look like exactly. Sure. I mean, at least what I see in being an entrepreneur and especially having a retail storefront. Yeah. Because your day is dependent on who walks through your doors. Yep. And how much time you have to spend with those people. Yep. And if you have friends, just people that you can ask some questions to, but podcasts and YouTube are awesome. They are. Your podcast is going to be great. You have so much resources that will be available
yes.
through what you're doing. So I love what you're doing.
Thank
we
you.
need more of that.
Thanks.
And maybe through some of that, you'll find people who will find some of us in their niche that they can contact.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm glad to help people. I've done it so many times through the pregnancy center, and I've helped people start one. I'm glad to help someone start something if I can. I mean, am I the expert? By no means, but I'm always trying to learn.
Yeah.
And if there's any nugget I can give you, I will be happy to do so.
Right on.
So, and pray.
Got it.
I don't know if you're a praying person, but I tell you, I do it every day.
Love it.
And I just have to know that this is what the Lord wants me to do.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Well, I mean, Stephanie, we're going to start kind of winding things down here. Are there any topics that we didn't cover? Are there any topics you want to go back and talk a little bit more about? Is there anything at all you'd like to talk about?
I will, just say if you're opening a business in your community, get involved in your community. If there's, a merchant, I just did get involved with the chamber. I mean, I knew better because I was really involved back in Hernando County. And it was really hard for me the first year because I know you need to be involved. And plus it was COVID. Mm-hmm. But I couldn't leave my store. Now I have more flexibility to do that. But I would say be a team player in your community. That's what I love about our downtown is I love my business neighbors. We get along. We're all trying to grow this. Is it always easy? Do we always all see eye to eye? No, but you know what? Stand strong.
Yeah.
Isn't all about you.
Right.
It's about our community and growing it together. Mm-hmm. And you might not always get your way, but maybe your way wasn't the best idea. And even if it was and we decide to go a different way by majority, then go with it.
Right.
Be a team player. Involve other people, send people to the other businesses. You're working as, I would just say, community over competition is the way to go.
Yeah.
So that I would say, yeah, you're there for a reason. Let's see what that reason is. If it's all about you, how long is that going to last? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And just know it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and I'm a stinking health coach, and I'm trying to get back to what advice I give other people.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to get that work-life balance back, and I'll get in where I'm out on my workouts again, and then I drop off again.
Yeah.
Because I have to be somewhere, and I don't have time, and it's just like.
I know how that
So I'm
goes.
still struggling with that.
Yeah.
And when you're eating dinner at 9:00, you're not going to go to a workout
Right.
at 10.
Yeah.
It's just not happening.
Right.
So I will get back to that.
Yeah.
I will. I know I need to. So try to take care of yourself. And if you have small kids and you're getting involved, they're only small for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. So hopefully you have your other, that other person, their other parent is at home taking care of them. So you're able to do what you need to do. And you need to make time for family too.
Yep.
So, it's
Okay.
be willing to work.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. That's why you have to love what you're doing.
Right.
It's a lot of work.
Don't do it if you don't love it.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's not worth it.
Right.
It's not worth it.
I
love
agree with you.
I have a shirt that says "Do what you love and love what you do."
Yep.
And that's what you should do.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to end this here with what I call my 3 quick question round. It's just 3 quick rapid fire questions. So, question number 1, how would you define the word entrepreneur?
Hard worker, visionary, exciting.
Yeah. Love it. Okay, question number 2, how would you define the word success?
Well, there's a couple of different ways you can look at what the definition of that is.
It's different for everybody.
Right.
That's why I like the question.
The definition of success for me is not just going to be the money in my pocket, but what difference did I make in other people's lives? Mm-hmm. And whether that's a piece of furniture, whether that's dressing them up in a new outfit and making them look beautiful, even though that beauty comes from the inside, whether it's saving a life at the pregnancy center, whatever it is, how did I make a difference in someone's life?
Love that. Okay, now question number 3. Following up on question number 2. When you think of the word successful, who comes to mind? who's a person that comes to mind when you think of the word successful? Who is a successful person that you think of?
There's a lot of people that are, that I listen to that are online, but I have so much respect for John Minton is the Chick-fil-A owner he's the franchisee in Hernando County. He is gifted. He has been president of the chamber. He's been filled in on the county commission, but he is the calmness, the demeanor, the leadership qualities that he exudes, the love he has for his fellow man, the community. I mean, and he is a godly man that has helped so many people. Yeah. He's made a difference in so many people's lives. He has a successful business. I admire and respect him very much. And that's just one person I'm thinking of.
Of course.
There's many others.
Yeah.
But he does come to mind. He's helped us. He's been a supporter of the Pregnancy Center for years. Yeah. He's done trainings for us. He's there to help people, but he's made such a difference.
Awesome. Okay, so Stephanie, how can people find you? I've mentioned your website, but plug it again. All your social media stuff. What different events you have coming up? Any new clothing lines coming in? Just plug all your stuff.
I will say my website is out there and up there. Do I focus a lot on it? No. Yeah. And if you look at my website, you'll say, follow me on Facebook or Instagram because it's a whole lot easier for me to post on Facebook and Instagram. Yeah. So, yes, I do have a website, rusticelegancevintage.com. It's not where it needs to be. You'll find a few pictures. You can get an idea. But look on Facebook because I post almost daily on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, and you're at Rustic?
I am at Rustic Elegance Vintage Design and Decor on Facebook. Okay. And Rustic Elegance Vintage on Instagram. Okay. And message me on either, especially Facebook. I'm very responsive on the messaging there. If you do go and you message me on my website, I do get notifications, so I can get that if you do not have Facebook or Instagram. But that's where I'm posting the most on those two platforms. I don't have an event per se that I can talk about at this point that we're having. We've got some things we're talking about. I do want to get some form of online selling going online, but I am most happy to FaceTime someone around the store if you can't come in, curbside pickup, come on in. We'd love to meet you, show you around. Yes, clothing lines my boxes are coming in, and I will be bringing in a little more, when space permits. Sure. I'm not going to not have the furniture and home decor. Let me know what you think. Hey, we want to have in there what our customers want. If I'm just having what I want in there, that's not going to do it. I need to have what the customer wants. So the store's always ever changing. We move stuff around. Right now it's being moved around. I'm going back to finish moving things around. At least for the day. Okay. And so, yes, I have some really cool clothing coming in. Nice stuff. I'm excited. And Louise has awesome stuff in there already. She's got more things coming in. So we've always have new furniture and now new clothes and accessories coming in.
Awesome.
So stop by, check us out. You can always call us, but I'm only there on the phone.
37842 Meridian Avenue. Dade City, correct?
Correct. And now, our current hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 10 to 5. I will make personal shopping hours on a different time if you want. We want to do some type of trunk show, some kind of special thing for the ladies where you're getting first eyes on what comes in. We can dress you up. We can have fun, maybe have some wine and cheese and stuff like that and make it a fun night out for the ladies. So let us know. We'll be happy to dress you up and have a fun time.
Okay. Well, Miss Stephanie Troutman Knight, thanks a lot. This has been fantastic. I really enjoyed this conversation. And everyone else, thanks a lot for tuning in. If you've enjoyed the show, then please share it around so others can find us as well. The best way for new listeners to find the show is for our current listeners to talk about us. So give us a like, give us a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm your host, Eric Baker, and this has been another episode of The Art of Business. Bye for now.